You are an adopted child in that family, and you're practically a stranger to my husband now. Please don't get involved with us. My husband and me, after our marriage. You're a stranger, so we won't invite you to the wedding. I lost my parents when I was young and have lived apart from my brother. When I heard my brother was getting married, I was thrilled. But then, his fiancée said something unbelievable, not realizing it might cause her a lot of trouble later. I'm Emily, a 33-year-old office worker. My parents died in a car accident when I was just 8 years old. Initially, my 5-year-old brother Ethan and I were taken in by our paternal grandparents. Our grandparents tried desperately to raise us, but it's tough to bring up 2 kids. They had retired, and it must have been hard for them to continue raising 2 children. 3 years later, I was taken in by my aunt and uncle, becoming their adopted child. It was sad to be separated from my brother, but we could still meet. I had just gotten used to living with my grandparents when I had to move to a new home, which was nerve-wracking. However, my aunt and uncle welcomed me as if I were their own child. Let's slowly become a real family. For us, you are already our daughter. It might be difficult at first, but let's try to be open with each other. My uncle said, and I remember feeling relieved. I later found out that my childless aunt and uncle decided to adopt me after much discussion. Their home was a bit far from my grandparents, but a 30-minute train ride away. And I thought I could visit my brother on my own when I got a bit older. That's how my life as my aunt and uncle's daughter began. Being blood-related and having a parent-child relationship are not the same. At least, that's what I think. A mother isn't only someone who gives birth. Over time and through shared experiences, a parent-child relationship can develop. I learned this through my life with my aunt and uncle. There's no blood relation between us, but we're definitely parents and daughter, a family. I only told close friends, and they were surprised to hear we weren't blood-related. A friend's mom once told me, "Emily, growing up so well-adjusted despite such circumstances is impressive, but I don't think it's anything special." It was just the love and patience of my aunt and uncle that were remarkable. At first, I couldn't fully open up, was stubborn, and even rebellious at times. I'm deeply grateful to the 2 who continued to face and accept me, and now I truly think of my aunt and uncle as my parents. As an adult, I wanted to give back to them, even just a little. With this in mind, I joined my uncle's company, worked hard, and now I'm a supervisor. I kept in touch with my brother regularly. Once we both had cell phones, we communicated directly through texts and calls, and I would visit him sometimes. But after high school, our meetings became infrequent, and he would only reply to my occasional texts. It's common for siblings of different genders to drift apart as they grow older. My brother grew up well in my grandparents' house, remaining kind. He might have felt lonely without parents at times, but he never caused me significant worry and matured. Eventually, my brother graduated from college and joined a top company that everyone knows. My grandparents and I were very proud. Then this year, when he turned 30, he contacted me out of the blue, wanting me to meet the woman he was marrying. While I felt a bit upstaged, it was indeed wonderful news to hear that my brother was getting married. I regret that our grandparents, who passed away in the last 2 to 3 years, couldn't be here to celebrate. They surely would have been overjoyed. A few days later, my brother brought his fiancée to meet us at the house where my aunt, uncle, and I live. Let me introduce you. This is Samantha, my fiancée. Having lost our parents at a young age and eventually being separated, it's been quite a journey for us. Thinking about how we've both grown up and reached this day, I can't help but feel a warmth in my eyes. Seeing my brother's happy face made me feel almost like a mother to him. To think that my little and adorable brother is now introducing his fiancée. I'm his sister Emily. Thank you for coming today. I smiled at his fiancée. Ethan, I'm so happy to see you after so long. Wow, you've grown up to be so respectable, congratulations on your engagement. I'm glad to meet Samantha too. Thank you for coming. My aunt and uncle also smiled warmly, extending their greetings. No, it's only natural for us to come and greet you. I also wanted to have a chat with my future sister-in-law. She responded briskly, smiling. I had imagined her to be a sheltered young lady, being the daughter of a company president, but she seemed quite capable. Ethan is a gentle and easygoing type, so maybe he matches well with a woman like her. She looked straight at me with determined eyes. That day, we all introduced ourselves and chatted over cake with my aunt and uncle joining in. Are you single? Do you have any plans for marriage? So, you're the adopted child of this family. Don't you live alone? She asked various questions, seemingly trying to get to know me, her future sister-in-law. When she asked to exchange contact information before leaving, I gladly agreed. Later, she contacted me to meet at a cafe, making me feel like I was gaining a sister, which was a ticklish feeling. However, my cheerful mood was about to be abruptly overturned. As we sat down to coffee, Ethan's fiancée began. I wanted to talk with you alone today. Sure, thank you. We're just women here, so if you have any complaints or hard to say things about my brother, I'm all ears. That's not what I wanted to talk about. Did she just sigh? Sensing something off in the atmosphere, I looked up to see her gazing intently at me. I have a favor to ask before we get married. What could it be? Her use of the word of favor made me a bit apprehensive. Her gaze was very intense. So, you're the adopted child of that couple and single, right? Yes, that's right. I replied, a bit taken aback by her sudden question. Ethan is practically a stranger to you now, right? Please don't involve yourself with us after we get married. What? I blurted out in surprise. We won't invite you to the wedding since you're a stranger. What? Wait, just wait a minute. What is she talking about? I might be a stranger legally to my brother, but we are real siblings. I have no intention of meddling in your married life. But I do want to attend and celebrate your wedding. I've heard that no family is free of problems between daughters-in-law and mothers-in-law, or sisters-in-law. Is she trying to preemptively ward off any potential issues with me, her future sister-in-law? But I have no intention of interfering in my brother's marital life. So I gently assured her that there was no need to be so wary. But she shook her head at my words and spoke again. Please don't misunderstand. I'm saying you're a stranger to us. Family yet considered strangers. I couldn't comprehend what she was saying and tilted my head in confusion. Ethan and you have been strangers for a long time, right? And you're still unmarried and living with those elderly folks. Not even on your own. Being an adopted child and single, it would be troubling if you were to rely on us in the future. She declared this firmly. Such a cold look for the sister of her future spouse. I was taken aback, but she continued without concern. It's out of the question for you to rely on us after they pass away. Wait a minute. They're still healthy, so please don't say such things. Besides, I have my own job and income. Yes, for now. If you were unemployed, I wouldn't have even come to greet you. She interrupted me, glaring. Anyway, we won't invite you to the wedding. And you don't need to invite us to any of your family events either. Just because you're single. Don't expect any future support or care from us. What does she think of me? Sure, I'm single now, but I have a job and savings. The thought of considering a family member of her future spouse in such a way made me feel dizzy. I understand how you feel, but not even notifying about family events seems too much. I don't think Ethan would agree. Just because we've seen less of each other as adults doesn't mean our family bond is gone. Shocked, I responded firmly. Well, minimal involvement is unavoidable, I guess. But please gradually distance yourself. Talking with her, who said this so nonchalantly, made me feel sad. I'm asking for the sake of our happy marriage. If you refuse, it might complicate our marriage. Remember, it was Ethan who wanted to marry. Think about his happiness, okay? She implied that if I didn't accept this, she might not marry Ethan. It sounded more like a unilateral ultimatum than a request. Ethan's proud smile from the other day came to mind. This condition was unreasonable, but I didn't want to interfere with my brother's marriage. Faced with her irrational demands, I was left speechless. That night, when I told my aunt and uncle about the day's events, they both found it hard to believe. Understandably so. Did she really say that? She seemed so pleasant when we talked the other day. I was shocked too. I thought she just didn't want a sister-in-law meddling, but it was more than that. She insisted we're strangers and wouldn't hear otherwise. What will you do? My uncle asked, concerned. I don't want to ruin Ethan's wedding. I'm not happy about it, but I'll skip it. Once things settle, I'll meet with Ethan alone to celebrate. I see. But if Emily is treated like that, we have no desire to attend either. Eh? My aunt nodded in agreement. Seems like the problem is on that young lady's side, isn't it? Huh? I looked puzzled, and my uncle nodded with a slight smile. Then came the wedding day. The sky was clear and blue. I should have been there to witness my dear brother's special day up close. But it couldn't be helped. Then my cell phone rang. The screen displayed Samantha. I had saved her number affectionately, thinking she'd become my sister-in-law. But now she's a stranger, not a sister. I felt no obligation to answer the call. The phone stopped momentarily, only to ring again immediately. Ignoring it only led to more and more calls. On the wedding day, I wondered how the bride, Samantha, had the time to call like a demon. Annoying. I muttered, and my aunt and uncle seemed to guess who was calling, chuckling wryly. I switched to silent mode, but now my cell phone kept vibrating over and over. I wondered what kind of face Samantha, who had bluntly told me I was a stranger, was making now. The calls finally stopped, but my phone's call history was filled with a Samantha's name. A stalker, perhaps? The thought made me laugh. There were a few voicemails, but I didn't feel like listening to them. That afternoon, as my aunt, uncle, and I were enjoying our favorite donuts, the intercom rang insistently. When I went to the door, Samantha, Ethan's fiancée, burst in furiously. Hey! Why aren't you answering your phone? Do you know how many times I called? Aren't you supposed to be getting married today? What do you want at a stranger's house? Your fault the wedding's ruined. Excuse me? I smiled back, unfazed. You didn't let your uncle and aunt attend because you weren't invited. I haven't done anything. I just didn't go to the wedding, as you told me. What? That's right. You told me, who wanted to attend my dear brother Ethan's wedding, not to come because I'm a stranger. Why should I answer a stranger's call? Don't be so. What do you mean? So, why are you here? Well, because your uncle here is the president of the Electrical Industry Association, and someone started saying he wasn't there. Samantha. Ethan suddenly appeared. Ethan. Sorry. I thought she ran off without listening to me, but she really came here. Sorry, Emily. I didn't know anything. What happened? I heard from Samantha that you wouldn't attend. She said you had to meet your boyfriend's parents on this day. And it was hard for you to tell me. I thought that was understandable. Oh. Quite a convincing lie for a reason not to attend my brother's wedding. I was impressed. Then today, when attendees noticed our uncle's absence, they started asking why the chief guest wasn't there. Someone close to our uncle said, because his daughter was denied attendance. And she's the groom's real sister, what's going on? Samantha's parents were shocked, saying they knew nothing about it, and then relatives and other guests got involved, causing a big commotion. So the wedding turned into chaos, whether it was as expected or beyond. Biting her lip, Samantha glared at me again. Because of you, I was criticized terribly, called inhumane. If you had answered the phone and come to the wedding, things might have been different, you heartless person. Who's heartless here, I wonder? Uncle, who had been observing quietly, stood up and spoke. I decided not to attend on my own. Emily, in fact, wanted me to be there for her brother. What? I'm a businessman and currently the president of the Electrical Industry Association. I have connections with Ethan's major manufacturing company and your father's component factory, but you've just ruined a good relationship. Ah. Your thoughtless actions are going to make your position and even your father's company's situation very difficult. What? By the way, Emily is now a supervisor in our company. She's indispensable, studying technology and management every day. And she's been the secretary of the Electrical Industry Association for 2 years now, building quite a network in the industry. What? Samantha, who had underestimated me as a poor, troublesome, single woman, opened her eyes wide, uttering a ridiculous sound. Indeed, Emily and Ethan lost their real parents when they were young. It's more sad than we can imagine. Uncle's voice was calm yet dignified. But Emily has bravely and positively carved out her life. Judging her foolishly just because she's adopted and single is far more foolish of you, Samantha. Samantha was left speechless. She had no words to counter my uncle's argument. Yet again, she lashed out at me. This liar. If your uncle is such an important and wealthy person, you should have told me. Then I would have let you attend the wedding. Enough already. I sharply dismissed her childish behavior. I tried to talk about my work. But you were the one who didn't listen, remember? And we all introduced ourselves on the day we first met. You only remembered that I was single and adopted. People like you, who judge others only by their titles or appearances, end up in situations like this. I'm not living here because I can't afford to live alone. I want to be with my parents. But we are a family. Now, as a stranger, you should leave. Wait. You need to help me out here. I'm being made out to be the bad one. As a sister, do something. I'm not your sister, I'm a stranger. I corrected her with a smile. I'm adorable fiancé of your brother, so I'm like a sister, right? There's no point in this conversation. You should take responsibility for your own words. I'll take back what I said before if you help me smooth things over. There's nothing a stranger like me can do. What? Wait. Goodbye, then. Wait. No. Come on, let's go. I still have a lot of questions. Ethan reluctantly led his protesting fiancé away. Afterward, Ethan and Samantha's engagement was called off, and she was saddled with the wedding cancellation fees. She complained, but her parents accepted that it was her fault. Despite being a president's daughter, her father's company was just a small factory. Maintaining relationships with Ethan's major company and my uncle's electrical industry association was crucial for the factory's survival. Now, due to her actions, her father had to apologize profusely. Samantha, having caused such a mess, was reprimanded and not allowed to return home. She tried to stay with friends, but after the wedding fiasco, they distanced themselves, and no one offered help. Ethan came to apologize, reflecting on his choices. She only liked me because I worked for a major company and had no parents to trouble her. And the way she treated you like an obstacle. I hate that I couldn't see through her. Ethan slumped, and we all tried to comfort him. It's good that you weren't married yet. And she was pretty. It's not your fault for being deceived by someone who hid her true self. Ethan, you are too kind. It's a shame about her, but someday you'll find someone who truly cares for you. I hope so. Here, Ethan, your favorite donuts. Let's have some coffee. This incident somehow brought me closer to Ethan, with whom I had lost touch as adults. I realized I had also been neglecting to contact my brother. The initial news of his engagement was the reason for our reunion, so in a way, I'm grateful to her. Watching Ethan and my aunt and uncle talk like a real family, I pondered these thoughts. Friends, lovers, family. Maybe we take those closest to us for granted and forget to show them care. I resolved to cherish my loved ones more. How are your loved ones doing?